Hi all. In this video we'll try to understand Ketu. Ketu is just like Mars, but it's the extremity of Mars, you can say. So the bad impacts that you can observe because of a bad Mars, you can observe the same things with Ketu. Ketu is not a physical planet like Rahu, right? So Ketu exists as a shadow planet. It's a south node basically, as you can see in my mobile screen. So when you consider a serpent, snake, so the headless serpent is Ketu. Head is Rahu basically, and the headlessness is Ketu. Ketu does not have any, that's why uh, Ketu does not have direction, right? So because of that, whatever happens because of Ketu, that happens very much suddenly. So you see everything is going fine in a country, but suddenly there's a very bad thing. The biggest bad thing may happen in that country if Ketu is not in a good condition. Ketu is that it's a sudden event because it has no head, right? The sudden events, the directionless. So there's so much of trouble you can see in a country because of its enemies or the natural calamities also. The sudden natural calamities, a tsunami, and then people just die. So even sudden success also, in a positive sense, you can say as there would be sudden success also. At the same time, sudden downfall, sudden failure also you may observe. No, all the sudden activities, the wars, even sudden wars, sudden violence, sudden the calamities, the natural calamities, all the sudden bad things you can represent with Ketu. The airborne diseases, especially the airborne diseases, can also be represented by Ketu. Diseases also, some of the diseases you can represent with Ketu, the airborne diseases especially, right? So the obstructions, all the Ketu also has a lot of negative energy. You can understand the sinful habits, a degradation stuff, right? The illnesses, right? Um, the negative things the epidemics, right? The airborne diseases, some kind of diseases you can represent, but mainly it is a sudden stuff, the directionless stuff, and uh, you can observe that kind of stuff with Ketu. And the positive side, Ketu represents spirituality. Whereas the most, the in all the planets, if anything represents spirituality at its best, then that is Ketu, right? If Ketu's energy is uh, very much prominent, then you can observe uh, a lot of spiritual things happening in the country. So Jupiter represents religion. Jupiter represents the religion. The religion is different from spirituality, right? Spirituality is just like it is independent of religion. So Jupiter is a kind of religion following dharma, and uh, that is the priest kind of stuff. That is Jupiter. But Ketu is no religion, nothing. It's completely spiritual, being spiritual, understanding your innerness, right? Understanding the soul, understanding you know uh, the nature and its effects on human being, and how a person can be evolved spiritually, right? All these things, the philosophy stuff, the spirituality stuff, right? It's a peak of that spirituality, you can say. That is Ketu, right? Ketu is that much positive also, right? But the negative side is it has no direction, and it represents the calamities, diseases. It's a directionless. The impact is very much critical. That is a major problem with Ketu. If Ketu is traveling in bad the destructive nakshatras like Arudra, Mula, Aslesha, Jesta, right? These are the destructive planets. If Ketu is transiting in or flowing in this kind of energies, with these nakshatra energies, with these constellation energies, then you expect something bad, right? Something bad. See, uh, Ketu Ketu transits Mula so many times. Ketu transits Jesta so many times. And Aslesha, Arudra so many times. But it's not the general transit that we observe. Whenever then an eclipse occurs, right? That time if Ketu is is flowing in a bad nakshatra, right? That is going to make a lot of impact. A general transition of planets, the general transition of planets always happen. But whenever there is an eclipse, that eclipse is nothing but, that is the uh, you know you can say that is the break point. That point of time must be analyzed, and that point of time uh, must be considered a lot deliberately. People has to analyze that eclipse. During eclipse, see, all these planets, whatever planets we have, right, in our solar system, all these planets, they transit different nakshatras. That is a general behavior. But whenever there is an eclipse, that is the screenshot we need to take and need to observe. During this eclipse, what where is this particular planet? Eclipses decide the human life. It's not the general transit is something like general behavior, right? That it's not uh, it's not a very very big deal with the general transition. But whenever there's an eclipse and the transition of the planets is not bad, or whenever there is a special event, at least, right? Like we saw all the planets are going their homes, right? So that's nothing but, so when people when we understood, right? uh, in a college, when all the students go to their home, when the semester ends, when the academic year ends, so they go their homes, all the people, right? In between, some people go to their homes, but some people may not, in some festival, holidays, whatever. But whenever an year ends, right, whenever the academic year ends or the semester ends, almost all the students go to their homes. That is what happened uh, sometime back in September 2020, right? All the planets went to their homes. So there's a new beginning, because see, one academic year ends, all the people went to their homes and they're coming back. So that means what? There's a second year starting, right? The second academic year starting, or the second semester is starting. That is a new beginning. So that's why we understood the September 2020 transition as it has a new beginning for the human society. Right? It's a new beginning, right? So that was a special event. So whenever there is a special event, whenever there is an eclipse, that must be analyzed. So during that time, how are the planetary energies? So on 14 December 2020, right? So there is an eclipse, right? There's an eclipse on 14 December 2020, and on 21st, so 14 December, it's a solar eclipse, and on 21st December 2020, Jupiter and Saturn are coming, very closely, and that is happening. Uh, that's happening after 400 years. Jupiter and Saturn come closely sometimes, but that much closeness we observed 400 years back, and again this 21st December 2020 it is happening, right? So this is called as the greatest conjunction, right? The great conjunction, people generally say it as great conjunction. Jupiter and Saturn conjunction. After 400 years, they are coming very much closer. Um, so, so these are the special events. So during the special events, we need to understand the energies. So there is a solar eclipse, and during the eclipse also, if the planets are in a normal condition, if no planet is debilitated, no planet is exalted, or all the planets are situations, and all the planets are comfortable, then that eclipse also cannot impact the human life, right? So we'll make another video on the same topic, right? So this is about Ketu. Ketu represents the sudden events, the sudden the sudden things, because Ketu has no head. It does not have any direction. So Ketu represents natural calamities, violence, war, diseases, all the destructive things happening suddenly, very much suddenly. That is the negative side of Ketu, and the positive side is spirituality, right? Ketu is very much spiritual, right? So that is about Ketu. Thank you.